Hi everyone, if you are new to the channel, my name is Ling Chen. I'm currently a second year MBA student studying at Cornell University. So I come from Singapore. Having studied almost 2 years in the US, today I'm going to share with you guys a few culture shocks that I personally experienced here as an international student. Honestly, for this topic, there are way too many things to talk about. So today, I'm going to share with you guys a few areas that are less commonly brought up by other international students. And maybe I'll leave the rest for future videos if you guys are interested in them. So the first culture shock is punctuality. The vast majority of American students are extremely punctual, and this is very evident when we attended classes back in Sage Hall. Normally when me and a few other international students walk into the classroom on the dot at the exact time the lecture is about to start, almost the entire class has been fully seated waiting for the professor to start the lecture. This is actually a quite awkward situation at times because sometimes my seat is in the middle of the aisles, so when I had to actually squeeze in, and many of the local students has to actually stand up and give way to me. The funny thing is that it's always me and a few other Asian students who are always quote-unquote late for classes. So this is a habit that I really need to learn from many of the American students over here, and they really care a lot about punctuality. I mean, back in Singapore, honestly, we don't really have the habit of arriving early for class, especially in university. So if I were to, let's say, go into a classroom 5 minutes before the class starts, there is a very high chance that I was probably one of the first to enter the classroom. The second culture shock is the concept of drinking. So both American students and Asian students like to drink, but what really differs is the way we drink alcohol during gatherings. So back in Asia or Singapore, although alcohol is normally also a very big part of many social gatherings, food is usually the priority of almost all gatherings, and alcohol is kind of like the complement. For gatherings in Singapore, what typically happens is that my friends and I normally will meet up around some food places to have a good dinner or some good food. Then we go to nearby pubs or bar to have some drinking post-dinner. And even at the pubs, people will always order some snacks or finger food to go along with the drink. It is very rare that at a social gathering, alcohol is basically the only thing that is there. But in US, people literally go for alcohol and shots from the get-go on an empty stomach. So this is something that really amazed me in terms of their alcohol tolerance level. I still recall when the school just started, I attended a gathering with some of my local classmates, and the gathering was 7 p.m. So I went there on an empty stomach thinking that, okay, no matter what, there's definitely some light dinner or some food that go along with the drinking. And I was totally wrong about that. I mean, people were chugging alcohol and shots from the get-go throughout the night, and nobody bring up food at all. It seems that nobody even will get hungry from all the drinking and partying. So in the end, what I found out was that some classmates, they either have a very early dinner before going gathering, or they just go there empty stomach and alcohol basically is their dinner. The third culture shock may actually surprise you and is the usage of sunscreens. In Singapore, despite it being a very tropical, hot and humid country, you will rarely ever see teenagers or youngsters actively using sunscreen during outdoor activity or outdoor sports. I still recall back in high school in Singapore, my mom used to force me to bring sunscreens for my outdoor basketball practice. And before the practice, wherever I start applying sunscreens, my friends used to laugh at me and look at me funny because I was literally the only person who actually think about bringing a sunscreen for outdoor activities. So here in the US, there is always one or two guys passing around sunscreens wherever we go for outdoor gathering or outdoor orientation or outdoor sports. And the interesting thing is that everyone will actually actively use these sunscreens. So what I conclude is that at least for the American student I met, they take their skin protection really very seriously. And of course, my observation may not be representative of all local students, but this is definitely an interesting observation for me to compare. The fourth culture shock is the price of food. So the price of food here in the US as compared to Singapore and other Asian countries is extremely expensive. So a typical simple meal eating out in Singapore usually average between 3 to 5 Singapore dollars, which converting to US dollar, it will be between $2 to $4. Whereas in US, the most basic meal you can find even on the campus average between $8 to $10. And if you go outside the campus, an average lunch can cost you anywhere between $10 to maybe $14. So this is as much as 3 times the price of eating in Singapore. And I'm not sure whether this is the reason why local students here tend to meal prep a lot more as compared to students back in Asia. I see many of the local students actually bring their own lunchbox to school and heat up on the microwave. Honestly, back in Singapore, I have little to no incentive to meal prep because cooking myself can barely save any money at all as compared to eating out. They are basically cost roughly the same. I still recall one of my Taiwanese classmates here used to tell me that back in Taiwan, nobody cook at home at all and everybody dine out. And the reason being, dine out is even cheaper than cooking at home. This is all I have to share for today. There are so much more to talk about regarding this topic. So if you are interested to hear more, make sure to let me know in the comments so I can do a part 2 of this video. And of course, if you like my video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to my channel because I'll be uploading similar content on a regular basis. See you!